I welcome everybody to our December Oneness conversations. It's so lovely to have had one whole year with everyone, and we're looking forward to doing more next year as well. Since it is the end of the year and winter solstice is around the corner, it's always a good idea and something that I found to be really nourishing for myself is to kind of take some time to look back at this previous year, what worked for you, what didn't work for you, and what you're grateful for, as well as taking that into projecting for the year coming ahead, of setting intentions to see what is it that you truly want in your life and where do you want to spend your time and attention. And so I feel blessed to be here with everyone today to spend my time and attention with you all and have another conversation for today's topic, which is being grateful. And so Kim Leday and Judith Matheson are here with me today, as well as some wonderful viewers. Thanks for joining us. And yeah, let's go ahead and start the conversation.
Well, thank you so much, Joey. And I would like to, as we start the conversation, open with a very short prayer of thanksgiving. And if I would invite you all to close your minds and your hearts in sacred time of peace and open them to receive the energy of the universe that's seeking to emanate through us all, an energy that will bless humanity, ourselves, and the wider planet. So let's just take a moment to give thanks that we gathered together today in oneness. And I'd invite you to take a moment of 1 minute silence. Thank you. So thank you, Creator, for the wellness and the well-being in the hearts of all humanity. May we feel the waters of healing and the richness of humanity's journey through nature that connects us as one. As we rise up in new days each day to bless each other with a simple smile, a hug, a gesture of care, may compassion spread far and wide as we come together as one in this call today. Conversations of oneness, in gratitude for the life we are blessed to live, and thanks to the parents that have gifted us with this experience at this time of life on a planet right now that is awakening us to the best inside ourselves. And so it is, we are blessed. So thank you all for being here today. And thank you so much, Joey, for opening and us to a conversation that I hope will inspire many hearts. These are times in which we're living a parallel universe of much sadness, but in as much sadness, there's also a tremendous amount of compassion and love. And so today I'd like to invite Kim to open as a holistic coach and tell us of her journey in the last month and how her journey has affected us to be talking today about this powerful time of living from gratitude.
Thank you so much, Judith. So if you guys are new to me, again, my name is Kim Leday, and I'm a music therapist. I'm a holistic healing coach, and I just love being on this journey with you guys. Like, it's just a lot of fun for me to connect and share my heart and soul with all of you. And this month in particular, this season in our lives of December, there's a lot going on. I feel like we have this hustle and bustle going on, and there's a lot of giving going on, a lot to be grateful for. And what I have seen is that, in my experience, in order to be really, really great at being grateful, you have to be a good receiver as well. And I see so many people having trouble with that. Even in my own family, I have some family members who have difficulty receiving gifts at this time of year. You know, if funds are tight, I hear people saying stuff like, don't get me anything because I couldn't afford to get you anything. And so this idea of giving is conditional. like, well, I can only get a gift if I deserve it, right? If I'm good enough to have a gift, or if I could give you a gift. And we really make things so complicated. And what I've been reflecting on during this time of giving, no matter what you follow, right? Like there's Hanukkah, there's Christmas, there's the winter solstice, there's Kwanzaa, there's a million others that I don't even think about. And during this time of year, it's really simple. A gift is a gift. A gift is not conditional. It's unconditional. You give a gift because it brings you joy and it's fun, and it lights people up. It creates more light in the world. And this time of year is all about shining light, right? The festival of lights, and on the Christmas tree, we put lights. So there's a lot of light happening. And I just think we overcomplicate it. We just overcomplicate it way too much. I don't want to monopolize a lot of time, but I do have a quick little story that I felt called to share related to this idea of receiving, being a good receiver, so that you can then be a good giver and have gratitude for that. Uh, when I was maybe like a preteen, I was young. I remember we lived in an apartment building, and we had neighbors in our, up and down the hallway we got to know. And the people next door to us had children. They had like a big family. And one year, we were just really into the holiday spirit. We were just feeling really playful, like we wanted to just bless everybody. So I did this thing that I think nowadays we call it the what's it called? The doorbell ditch, I think is what it's called now. I don't know, but back then it was this idea that you would leave a gift on someone's doorstep and then you'd ring the doorbell and you'd run away so that it would be anonymous and they wouldn't know who left the gift. And I remember at this age, I thought it was so much fun. I felt like it was like Mission Impossible. Like I'm creeping down the hall on my tippy toes so they wouldn't hear me outside. And I have this gift and I put it down on the ground and I knocked on the door and turned to run back to the apartment really fast. And as soon as I turned, I heard them turn the knob on the door and I was like, oh, they're going to catch me. I can't let them catch me. And I was like freaking out. And my mom was watching me, down the hallway a little bit, and she was waving at me. She was like, go in the stairway, because it was right next to me. So I turned at the last second. I don't know if they saw me or not, but that whole like few minutes of time was just so exciting to me to leave this gift for these people, because in my mind at that time, I was imagining that maybe they thought that Santa had come and left it in the hallway, or that it was like a magical thing that it just appeared, or something. I was envisioning the joy and the miraculousness of a gift appearing out of nowhere that this family could experience. So and that was from my perspective as the giver. So on the flip side, if you're the receiver and you have a hard time receiving because maybe you feel guilty, like, oh, I didn't get a gift for you, or whatever the case may be, I hope that that story could be an example that could inspire you to think about the joy that the giver has in leaving that gift. In that moment, I was just playing and having fun. I was like, this is so cool. I hope I made it. I hope they didn't see me. I hope we created that magic for them. I wasn't thinking about like, okay, well, I left a gift, so you need to give me a gift now. And I like that wasn't where my mind was. It was on the joy and the fun and the spontaneity of the moment. And I think that even now as an adult, that's how I feel, that it gives me joy to give. So if you are someone who has trouble receiving, please let us give to you, because it's so much fun. And we don't do it expecting anything back. We give it because it gives us joy to see you have joy and to have that magical moment. It's just so much fun. So that was like the thing that was pouring through me today, that I just felt like I really wanted to share, because I know I've dealt with this too, that there's people in the world that we have that scarcity mindset of we're not good enough to receive, we're not smart enough, we don't deserve whatever. And can we just lift that up today? Let's just lift that up today. Like, just clear some of that energy today, just for 5 minutes if you want to, and just breathe in and let yourself receive and say thank you. Say thank you. That's me. I feel like I'm on a soapbox, so I'm gonna be quiet for a little while. Let you guys talk.
I love your joy in the telling of the story. And for me, it's like all of us becoming as little children to live the joy of not just receiving like little children do, but little children also like to give. And we all have a little child in our heart that loves to feel good by giving. And in giving, we also receive. And in receiving, we also give. Because one of the things an elder learns as we get older is we don't want to lose our independence. So sometimes we don't know how important it is to allow another to do something for us because it makes them feel good. And one of the things around being in any particular faith denomination of understanding love is sometimes we're conditioned to always be the giver and never the receiver. And so in your story, we have so many ways of looking at this special time of year, which we give many names. But what we forget is there was a birth of a child that humanity celebrated. There was a star that wise men followed. And there are many traditions that follow the spirituality of understanding miracles are happening every day. One kind word, one touch, one thought at the right time, one act of kindness. Let's wrap our presence up in something beyond materialism and guilt because we don't have any money to give. We have our presence to give. And we are the most important presence. So Joey, can you add to this conversation that Kim has so beautifully started off on this time of year that is a parallel of so much sadness sometimes, but so much joy to give?
Yeah, thank you for that story, Kim. It was lovely to see you light up around that. And I thought that was a great idea. I've never heard of, I've heard of ding dong ditching, but never with a gift. So I think that's like a lovely way to switch it around of leaving a gift for somebody and then it being anonymous in a sense, and they have no idea. It teaches a lot to be able to give or to receive. And that's kind of what I've experienced this year as well, where my Christmas with my family is a bit different this year than it has been in the past, where we've decided in parts of my family to not do gifts at all, but still see each other, and other sides kind of doing this, still giving gifts, but doing it in a different way than we used to. And it's been a great practice for me personally, exactly what you're talking about, Kim, of what it's like to receive without having exactly given an item back to that person, and to experience our own personally internal emotions that come up around that. Like you're saying, of self-worth or shame or some need to reciprocate, and like allowing myself to experience that, I think is what I'm coming up to, that's valid to have it as an experience, but at the same time to not like attach to it to where I have to like go do all of the things that I normally do to try and like make that feeling go away. And so I'm seeing like the beauty of a Christmas card, right? Like of receiving a Christmas card or choosing that I want to give a Christmas card to specific people. And it's something I never used to do before, but I see how simple it is. And it kind of gets to the foundations of giving and receiving that I think we've been trained as to all these materialistic items that we have to do sometimes, which are good. And I still like to do those things, but I think sometimes it can also go into places that where this shame and this need to give back comes from. So it's like, what is that for you? I think is the question to post for yourself. Like what I post for myself is like, what's coming out of like, I feel like I have to versus this is something that I want to do. And also, can I open it up and maybe do it in a different way? And that it could be so simple as not exchanging gifts, and that my presence is the gift, and that me being able to be there and help out with my family or around the house in other ways is more than enough, and it can be. So yeah, I think that's what I'm switching this year in my life is like, who am I grateful for? and actually wanting to sit down and do Christmas cards. Although I'm a little bit late, it's getting close here, but I'm going to send them and they'll arrive when they do. But I think it's a beautiful thing. And I'm realizing that foundational piece of how lovely it is to receive even just a note from somebody that is very personalized, and it means more than, sometimes it can mean more than like an actual physical gift. So I think getting back to those simplistic pieces around the way in which we can show our love and attention for somebody else and our gratitude for somebody else, and open up that perspective of like, what's the ways we used to do things, and are there other ways in which we can show that same thing in a more simple way? So I love this conversation.
And I love the fact that we're having the conversation, because it's so important when we look at the power of presence in new ways and physical presence. As many of you know, I'm a recent widow. And so today we are in the throes of getting prepared for my son to come up from Kingston with our grandson and to come to us for Christmas, which I wouldn't have envisioned as little as a month ago, because I wouldn't have been up to it. And so because of life, we see that the greatest presence is to make sure we continue traditions. Now, you won't be with your family this year, which is kind of a new experience for you, because you traditionally go home to see your family, correct? Well, our family's the very same. Traditionally, I think with most families, it's time to come together, particularly when we live in different places, to reconnect once a year to original family. And that's why this time of year can be very, very sad for many people, for many reasons, because our traditional families are under great siege. And the modern nuclear family, as we used to know it, has changed tremendously. And so we're creating new families based on new ways of opening our minds to see that family is what we make it. It can be with strangers. It can be with loved ones that we've known for years. It can be done in new ways by which we bring something to parallel loneliness. And we don't have to live in loneliness. We can reach out with phone calls. We can go out and serve in many different areas of our communities to meet the needs of people less blessed than us, to have a good home in which to celebrate a Christmas meal. So when we look at this wonderful time of Christmas, it's also a paradox. It's also a time by which we can see there are deep needs in the world to help us as a humanity to get together, to be remembering how can we create new nuclear families in new ways. And so in this conversation, we look at gratitude. What do we have to be of gratitude for in our lives by which we can bless others that may be less abundant this year because of the times in which we're living through? And let's remember the key word is through. So to be like little children, let's play some games. Let's lighten up the environment, and let's go out with joy every day in our hearts to see a stranger that may not have something that we have, and to start sharing our wealth in different ways. So could you add on that context of wealth, and what does it really mean, wealth? Is it money, or is it our capacity to be truly present to ourselves so we can be truly present to our families and our wider families every day? And we're living in a deeper spiritual context of being the ones we've been waiting for. We're the presents to put under the so-called Christmas tree. So we build in that kind of imagination. Kim, how about you?
Yeah, I think that I love that question, because when you think of wealth, well, when I think of wealth, I do think of money, and I think of like the abundance of what I have. So like I have plenty of food, I have clothes to wear, I have a roof over my head, I have a car that gets me around and takes me where I need to go. And while those things might not be like physical money that you're gonna go and pay for things with, it's a feeling of like I have things that I know I need and that serve me well and allow me to do my work in the world. And there's a feeling of richness that comes with that. I've heard of people talking about feeling rich in the soul because you have deep connections with people. You have like a close-knit family can be like a feeling of a rich family. Even if they don't have a lot of money, you have this feeling of, well, together we are rich because we have all these gifts, not material gifts, but like talents, like I have music that I share, and my daughter has joy that she shares with. She just loves to light people up, make people laugh, and so we all have these qualities about ourselves that are also gifts that make us rich and make us wealthy and make us alive and connected with people. Those are beautiful gifts. So I love talking about that idea of wealth is not just money. It can be money, like that's part of it, but wealth is who you are, I think, like who you are at the core and what you do with that in the world. That's my take on it.
And how do we value ourselves so we can value each other? Because we're kind of neighbors of each other all over the world. What we see in each other, we wouldn't see unless the same was in ourselves. So in as much darkness as there is in the world, there is also light, because everything is polarity. So Joey, can you build on this conversation and help us to see where we're coming at the time in humanity's journey of awakening the best in each other to the goodness that's flowing through all human hearts at this time of great spirituality awakening our minds and our hearts?
Yeah, thanks for that, Kim. I think that's great perspective on it. It's so true, like all the different ways in which we can see abundance and prosperity or wealth inside of our own lives. And it can come from so many different directions. I think one of like the initial pieces is that was coming up for me when you were speaking about that was becoming best friends with ourselves. I think like as we find this true companionship inwardly with ourselves and build that relationship, that sets like this platform for wealth. And I think perspective is a huge piece of that. Like how, I mean, somebody can have the most things or the most relationships and the most something wealth that we would see, and they may not see that themselves and constantly seeking for more. And so I think it's a piece of perspective of, I think it's really important to stop and pause life almost and self-reflect what is wealth for oneself. What relationships do you have? Because I feel like often it's as I've gotten older through life, it's like there's so many things I didn't see when I was younger that actually was a wonderful relationship or something that was full of wealth that it took me years to understand and even recognize that it was there the whole time. And it's something that I personally want to get faster at noticing and not lose sight of. Especially, we know we all have a time where we will not be on earth anymore. I was just at a memorial actually yesterday, and it's a good reminder that people in our lives do pass. It was actually one of my good friend is also, his parents are my landlords because I rent at this house. And so I mostly interacted with his father, and we became really close because there's a garage back there and I see him often. But the mom was who passed, and she was always in the background doing all of these amazing things, but like I never really had a relationship with her outside of little moments here and there. And when I went to the memorial yesterday, it was a celebration of life, and getting to hear stories from the family members was just so fulfilling, and also so deep with grief and sad at this exact same time. And so I had that sense inside of me of like, wow, I had this like really amazing person so close and in my life, but yet so far at the same time. And I remember the last time I saw her just a few weeks previous to that. And now I cherish that moment, and there's still pieces in the back of my mind of like all the what ifs of the opportunities I could have had to make a better relationship with her. So it's kind of given me that piece to like take into me seeing my family here in another week or so during this time, to remember the fragility of life, but also the many opportunities we have when we kind of examine our perspective as to like what we truly have, and spending more time and energy and revolving in those places that we can become grateful earlier now in the present moment versus finding it in hindsight later on. And so I think that's going to be my practice for this time at the end of the year.
Well, that's a beautiful thought, Joey, and it's so true as we're going through the different stages of life. I have a beautiful book called Life is an Aging Journey of Spirituality. And one of the things that I'm finding in the process of this conversation is sometimes the greatest gift we can give ourselves is to take that sacred time to get to know ourselves, who we are, to have the greatest presence to ourselves. So in the journey of grief, I have spent more time with myself and been very blessed to get to know who I am and to the presence inside myself and the wonderful interconnection I have with so many souls, some of whom are on this program today. Because you see, we're all connected. It's energy. And so sometimes we take life for granted. And it's in the journey of celebrating another human being's life, we begin to celebrate the beauty of their journey. Through the stories, we hear the journey and the parallel story of our own stories from childhood, from 0 to 10, and every decade, we begin to awaken to the significance of walking on this planet at a time of great joy to see that we're all learning how much we don't know. And it's when we know we don't know anything, we begin to become like little children. In every moment to be present to the holy, to the mystical, to the magic of life. It's sacred. Every breath is sacred. So continue the conversation, Kim, because we're beginning to see the scope of how humanity is connected, particularly at these spiritual times of humanity's journey on earth, to connect each other as one in conversations of the heart, deepens the journey of knowing ourselves. We are beautiful souls. And sometimes we don't know why we're called to do things, and we can honor that it's spirit nudging us. It's our guides or a holy, wonderful way of not understanding it, but trusting that intuitively we have these wonderful, wonderful souls called to help us awaken. And to see that in the pain of any kind of separation is also a unity that will bring us together to the joy of how we experience life together. And we're teachers for each other. That's the greatest present. Kim, can we help you build on that, being presence in that way?
Yeah, absolutely. And that part of having that relationship with people, I think, is being willing to fully love and accept who you are so that you can connect on an intimate, authentic level with the people around you. And not put up this, I don't know, this facade or this image of how you think you should be when you are interacting with whoever you're interacting with, but really being able to just like, let's be raw, let's be real. And like this thought came up as Joey, you were talking about, you're loving, honoring yourself, your self-worth, those kinds of feelings and ideas popping up there. And I mean, this is one of the areas that I've struggled with for sure, is feeling that sense of, do I have something that is worth something of value to other people on a not on a physical level, but on a personal level? As a music therapist, for example, I used to have a really hard time valuing that work because I felt like, well, there's lots of musicians in the world, right? Like anyone could pick up a guitar and play a song. And there's lots of music therapists out in the world too that have my training, and we all specialize in different things. So the fact that like I was a part of something to me that seemed so vast and like, well, there's lots of people who could do this, why am I so special? Um, it hasn't been until like just kind of recently that I have really seen what the connection with the heart does with my clients. I don't think so much anymore. And I mean, I've been doing this for a while now, but I don't think so much anymore about the technique necessarily that I'm using. I don't think about, okay, I'm doing the therapy. Let me do entrainment, or let me do this melodic intonation therapy, or that tap and work the brain and cross the midline, and like all these technical terms, or am I playing the right chord as I'm playing the guitar? I I let all of that go a while ago once I, gained some confidence. And now what I focus on with my clients is connection. And the music is just part of that. I'll play a song and I'm just honest and authentic and real with them. If I don't feel like I know it really well, I'll just say that. I'll be like, I don't know if I got this chord, but hey, let's try it. Or if I make a mistake, I laugh about it with them. I'm like, whoa, what did I just play? Let's try that again. And then we just go right back into it. But we make it about like really connecting at the heart. Like there's been moments in sessions, and this is just an example of when I stopped the whole music therapy thing. We might not be doing music, and I'll just sit there and have a heart to heart with them about like their day. If they're going through a hard time, I might sit and physically just hold their hand if that's what they need, and have that connection. Or I might breathe with them and have that connection. And what I have seen is I've gotten so many more compliments and so many more people saying, wow, you've made a difference in my life, just focusing on the heart, without thinking about, did I play it right? And all of that stuff. That stuff just is part of it's like the icing on the cake, it's just part of how we have fun. But the heart connection, oh my gosh, like that's so, so, so powerful. And people don't want to connect with people who are not authentic. Like if you're holding back, we can feel that. But if you're just willing to like whoosh, like pull it off, like just let it out and sit with, like, I'm human too. I'm human too, no matter who you are, whether you're a therapist or, it doesn't matter. I'm human too. And that's what people need. We need that.
And Kim, thank you so much for this, because what you're expressing is that as you're holding space for another human being in that way, authentically, you're both healing.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the experience of oneness. And Joey can speak to that and build on that in the journey of his holistic healing and the work that he does around the amount of pain and trauma that many of us have in life. And we all have trauma. And we store so much, we've lost connection with our hearts and our capacity to feel. So in the modern nuclear families of today, the modern nuclear family is under siege. There is no time for a couple to have sacred space to be alone and to be present to each other in ways that they can build a strong foundation, to build a strong relationship and a way by wing family that can actually go through the capitalistic system of materialism, to go back to what is Christmas really all about, and take us full circle to this conversation that's so important, because these are times of family, whatever way that looks. And families are being people together to have this sacred moment and space at least once a year, to come together and be present, fully present to each other, beyond the gifts around a tree, but to be present in ways like Joy holds space. And Joy does a lot of good work around helping people to be present to their trauma, so that the body that knows how to heal itself, we can connect to. So Joy, speak a little bit about your journey, because I believe both of you folks and the way that I live in the ministry of listening, healing, presence, we don't understand, but human beings are actually presence for each other. And the greatest gift I can give myself is to be present to another, because in that presence, we are helping each other to become more whole, to become more real, to become more authentic. So Joey, build on what you're doing in the work of holding space for people that are going through any kind of grief or loss, and aren't we all in these days, so that we can feel the pain and sorrow in our own hearts and begin to have a real authentic relationship with ourselves, so that we can be present to the loved ones that we want to be so close to.
Yeah, thank you for that. Kim, you're spot on. It's like that presence is the best medicine. And I'm sure you both probably know this, and just for the audience as well, it's interesting to know that there's actually more neuronal connections from the heart to the brain than there is from the brain to the heart. And so there is this natural brain-like intelligence inside of our heart space. It can actually be detected in a sense that we have about a 6-foot radius of electromagnetic frequencies that we interpret, send and receive essentially surrounding us with the people that are around us. And even space is not a constraint for this. There's intention experiments to see, is there actual shifts and changes that occur when people set their mind and heart space in a certain intention, and can it be detected around the world? And it's been shown and proven to be true. And so that internal presence to the people you're surrounding yourself or thinking of, and setting the intention is actually a very real thing. And so that's why I feel like it's so important, exactly what Kim is talking about, of like, it's great to know all these intellectual things and all these designs and techniques, and they are helpful, but they're kind of like in their own little space of not relying on it all the time. That really what our longest lived technology for healing is actually us being present with ourselves, clear in that intention and presence, and then doing that with other people. And that's really where the healing is. We all carry around different baggage and trauma. That's kind of this bag that's flying around behind us, and we're all acting like it's not here. But I think we all know that we have a pretty good bullshit meter. Like we know when someone's in front of us and they're just not being truly themselves. Like we can sense bullshit really well. But at the same time, as like, we don't always sense that when we're giving other people that lack of a presence. And so I think it's a really great practice to come back to that, is to being really true with ourselves. And literally it can be as simple as, like, if you're noticing yourself kind of maybe in conversation with someone kind of getting out and you're not really present to it, of literally taking your mind and your attention and placing it into your heart space. You can do this physically by placing your hand over your heart, feeling your heart beat. There's ways to be able to naturally just come into that presence, but recognize it. Like, you can literally place your attention into your heart space when you're communicating with other people, and it'll literally shift the way in which you're interacting. Because oftentimes we're just little brains walking around in this body, and we're constantly intellectualizing stuff. So we're in the past, we're in the future, but we're not here. And our heart, I think, is pretty much always here. So just know that that's something that you can come back to at any time you want to. It's a moment of choice. And so I appreciate you saying that, Kim, because I think it's really important to come back to those simple ways in which we can bring ourselves and remind ourselves. And one thing I wanted to place out, since we haven't talked about as well, is those who don't have relationships, those who maybe don't have the same types of lifestyles they did at this time. And like Judith has said, this is a very big time for loneliness as well. And so I want to speak to those people as well. It's, sometimes it's hard to reach out to the relationships you do have, or maybe the relationships you do have are toxic. And so what's something that you can do, like I was saying earlier, to become best friends with yourself? You may not be spending a traditional Christmas or holiday like everybody else might be, but there are things that you can do for yourself to help to fill your cup up, and to really give yourself those things that maybe you didn't receive from other people, or that you wish you would have. So to reach out, because I think there's probably more people in your life that you may not realize would be there for you, or would love to invite you over to be with you. So it's a lovely time that I think we can all go inward on, as well as shift the way in which we're present with our own relationships.
Thank you for saying that, Joy, because I think the journey is inward and outward. And if we give ourselves a gift of presence to ourselves for Christmas, and reach out to people we know living on their own with a phone call, there's nothing more important. It used to be that Canadians used the phone more than any other nation on the planet. Now, unfortunately, we're like most of the planet, we're sitting on our gadgets all day long. And we've lost the impact of personal one-on-one conversations. So I think if we could pick up the phone a lot more frequently and call people we know that live alone, it would make a huge difference to their lives and to our lives as well. because there's nothing more powerful than the voice. So the voice is what describes us through our pain and trauma, of which we all carry a lot of baggage and a lot of the BS that Joy was referring to a moment. But in as much BS as we have, we also have shift. We can shift our behaviors. And there's some wonderful, powerful books out now. And I'm going to mention one right now because I think it's important to this gift of presence. You can give presence in many ways, and there's nothing more powerful than information. So what I'd like to share with you is a conversation I heard on CBC radio many weeks ago around a book related to the conversation of so much pain and trauma. And the book is called, and it's an international bestseller by Gabriel Mate, M-A-T-E. You know the book, Joy? Now, if you could put that book title up for viewers to see, it's In the Realm of Hungry Ghosts is the title. In the Realm of Hungry Ghosts. And it's close encounters with addictions. But the book is about the pain and trauma we all carry. And the world is right now going through a lot of pain and trauma. And we're at a time of great healing because we have the resources to know that, yes, there's a lot of wonderful things happening in education and helping many different modalities of healers to help us in integrative medicine and spirituality and internet, connecting the world. And so we're beginning to awaken to the fact that we do not have to be victims anymore. We're no different than the indigenous people of North America. We can rise up and we can live from our victimhood becoming victors over our life experience. In as much pain as I have, I also have compassion. I can rise up to love myself and to be gentle with myself. And I can give myself a hug every day. I can give myself a bubble bath every day. I can take time to be alone, to reflect and to journal and to write in my life story, to see my story is significant. All of our stories are significant. And so let us celebrate life. Let us celebrate the joy that we deserve as human beings. To be human on the planet at this time is really challenging. It's hard to be human, but we are beautiful souls in these human bodies. And it's the mind and the heart that connects us to the oversoul of the spirit, to the spirituality of all human beings coming together in oneness now in these times of great change and transformation. So as we come to a closing at this particular time of an old year passing, and from a personal perspective, I'll be very blessed that it's finished. It's been a tough year, but in the challenges of life, we have choices and we can rise up. So when I'm looking at the calendar of today, and we end this wonderful blessing of having a choice to choose gratitude. Gratitude in as much pain, we have compassion. In as much sadness, we can embrace joy. So let us rise up and in the new year, look at the new calendar, because the new calendar is a powerful tool to help us all realize we can embrace a new year of living from grace and gratitude. And everyone can order these calendars free of charge, which have different themes every month that we'll be exploring every month at the third week of Monday, and different themes. And if anyone would like the calendar, you just call Unity Church at 816-524-3550 or go to unity.org. And we'll be listing our themes for the next year in the coming days and weeks ahead. And I would just like to say that as the new theme that we'll be doing on January, the third week, I believe, is actually January the 16th. And we're very blessed to see that that is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And couldn't it fall on any better day to be discussing a theme called grace? And so as we begin a new year, we'll be talking from grace of how wonderful it is to be fully human as we reach out to each other on monthly calls of oneness in our hearts and minds, connecting us as one. And so many thanks to Kim and Joey for each month helping me to be part of these calls. And so nice to see Isabel becoming a bit of a regular. I hope we see many, many more months ahead in the new year. And so many others that were able to connect today. Share with your friends. There will be as much peace in the world as we bring peace to our own lives and our own hearts. And so no matter what challenges we're going through, know that there will always be hope, as in every new day, we seek to be peaceful with ourselves and to see that the trauma that we all carry can be resolved in new ways, whether it be through books or reaching out to Kim or to Joey, and their information is on the website. Just reach out to your neighbor and let them know that in as much as we love ourselves, we can love others who are also a mirror to us of what we need to know about ourselves. And sometimes the people that help us to see what we don't want to see are indeed our greatest teachers. So let's reflect on that one as we enter a new year and a new year of being. So Christ is born, love is born, and so in every human heart is this power of light and love connecting us all. So Kim and Joey, if you'd like to have some final words and send us off into a brand new year as we welcome our families to be in peace this Christmas 2022.
Yeah, I think my message to everyone as we come to the end of the year and we go into 2023, which is like, wow, can't believe it's around the corner. My perspective is one of just like, let's have fun. Let's just have some fun. And stop taking ourselves so seriously. Like, it does not have to be that serious. It really doesn't. You know, if you want to take care of yourself, take a moment to journal. If you don't have like a fancy journal, like something like this with stuff in it, you know, use a piece of paper. That's totally fine. Do a dance. And if you don't have like workouts or whatever, like pull up something on YouTube and just dance to it. It doesn't matter. Um, and if you feel like you're disconnected with people, like Judith said, pick up the phone. Or this could be kind of fun, challenging. Maybe this could be our try this, everybody. Let's try this. Go outside. Maybe just take a walk or go into a store or something. Make eye contact with a stranger and smile. And if that's all you can do, then that's cool. But if you want to take it like a little step further, maybe like say something. You could open your mouth. You could say hi. You could say, I love that sweater or whatever. Or where'd you get that handbag or whatever? Like, women like to do that, by the way, just so you guys know. We love compliments, you know. But just don't make it light, make it fun. Don't try to be perfect. Like, let's have some fun this year. I feel like we should just have fun right now. We should throw a party. So let's end with a party and have many blessings. Happy New Year, happy holidays, many blessings to you all.
Yes, I love that playfulness, connection. As you were speaking that, I was kind of feeling into that concept of doing and non-doing. And I think it's finding that perfect balance for yourself and maybe pushing the edges on maybe the way in which you don't normally do either doing or non-doing. I love the playfulness, the connection. I think that's a great place to practice that even more right now. And then also kind of back to what I said in the beginning of maybe some of that practicality of I know personally this year I want to push my edge a little bit and move into the reviewing of this year and like spending dedicated time to review this past year, maybe through some journaling, some writing. There's many really powerful questions that you can find online. Try and maybe provoke your memory to investigate some of these things. Then the opposing side of that is intentionality of, again, a writing process or some type of discovery process or sitting and doing nothing in that thought-provoking idea of like, what intention do I want to set for this next year? What do I want to attract this coming year? What are the things in which I want to shift and change the way I have been interacting? And what do I want to dream of? Maybe the playfulness in that dreaming of this coming year. So that's what I wanted to share with everybody, and absolutely love these conversations. Happy to see you all next year as well. I'm guessing it's going to be the third Monday of January. I don't have my date in my mind. Yeah, I'm excited, and I hope you all have a lovely ending to this year and a great beginning to next.
And thank you all so much to always remember that in every wonderful ending is a new beginning. And so I love the idea of reflecting on the past year. And Joey's message is very important. Let's look at the things that worked very well for us and the things that didn't and learn from them. Because we are masters of our own soul's destiny. But if we don't take the time to look at what we're creating, we won't have the opportunity to see how we can create something new in every new day and every new year. And I love the theme of becoming like children. Let's learn to lighten up and sing and laugh and dance and be like children creating joy. Let's go out in Canada and states like Colorado and build a snowman, have a snowball fight, go tobogganing, get out in nature, celebrate life, because it's really worth living despite some of our challenges, because they're there to make us better. So bless you all for a very happy, healthy this year and next year, and an eternal life that blesses our families, our ancestors, and all future generations. And so it is from Algonquin Anishinaabe, sacred territory. I bless you all and know that our world is oneness, for we are one. Thank you all so much for being here today, and take good care, all of you. Thanks, Isabel. Thanks, Stephen, Alexander, and whomever else is on the call. It's been a blessing to have you share with us and listen. Thanks for your heart space holding space for ours, and have a great new year. Bye for now.
Thanks, Judith.
Bye, Judith. It's been a pleasure.
You're very
Always
welcome.
a pleasure.
Take good care, everybody. And Sylvia sends her love. Take
Thank
care.
you. Bye.
Bye.